Anyone who has ever watched a horror movie understands that the characters always make bad decisions. But if they choose right, we probably won't have a movie to watch. These are horrifying decisions made by characters in a horror movie, and it goes without warning that what follows will be filled with chilling revelations. Excerpt from the movie Jeepers Creepers. In Jeepers Creepers, there's a scene that anyone could predict would lead to tragedy. After being chased by a crazy truck driver on a deserted road, the two main characters, Darry and Trish, suddenly witness a macabre scene. They saw a mysterious figure with a dangerous appearance driving an old truck, dumping what looked like a curled-up corpse into a concrete pipe lying on the side of the road. His haunted eyes stared at the two, seemingly realizing that they had witnessed something terrible. After completing the brutal mission, the driver turned around, rammed into Darry's car, pushed it off the road in a fit of hysteria, and then continued on as if nothing had happened. At this point, any normal person would run away immediately, seek help from the police to report this horrifying incident. But no, this is a horror movie, and common sense is often ignored to create extreme tension. Instead of doing the most logical thing, Darry decided to go back and check to see what had been thrown into that tube. His deadly curiosity leads to a terrifying chain of events when he falls into a pipe after being startled by a pair of rats. And then, instead of just being a bystander, Darry quickly became the creeper's next target, a brutal predator. Excerpt from the movie Drag Maine to Hell. In the movie Drag Maine to Hell, the most tense moment comes when Christine seems to have escaped the terrifying curse that is threatening to drag her to hell. After much effort and danger, she finally removed the cursed button, or at least she thought so. When everything seemed to be going well, her boyfriend, Clay, suddenly pulled out a familiar envelope. That envelope did not contain the precious coin she gave Clay, but instead contained a ghostly button, still carrying a terrifying curse. The harsh reality is that Christine was mistaken. In her panic, she gave Clay the wrong envelope, one that contained a coin instead of a button. With just a little thorough inspection, she could ensure safety and end this nightmare. But unfortunately, a wrong decision made it impossible for her to escape her dark fate, and the curse forever stuck with her, dragging her down to the abyss of hell. Movie excerpt: I Am Legend. In the ending of I Am Legend, Robert Neville makes the final decision to save what's left of humanity. When faced with the oncoming fierce Darkseekers, he decided to sacrifice himself to protect Anna and his son. With the antidote in hand, Neville quickly brought the two into a fortified warehouse, then closed the door before pulling the pin from the grenade, blowing himself up along with the monsters. However, there was another path he could have chosen. Instead of sacrificing himself, Neville could have thrown a grenade at the Darkseekers and immediately rushed to safety with Anna and the boy. The distance was only 2 steps, but the symbolic sacrifice kept Neville from choosing the easier path. In his last moment, he chose to become a legend who bravely faced the darkness, left hope for humanity, and turned his story into an unforgettable legend. Movie excerpt: I Know What You Did Last Summer. In I Know What You Did Last Summer, the most tense scene occurs when Helen is running away from the killer, hook in hand. She was almost gone, only a few steps away from safety. Before her eyes, a marching band and a crowd of onlookers were passing by, a clear sign of freedom and salvation. But in a decisive moment, instead of rushing into the crowd to escape the murderer, Helen turned her head to look back, just to make sure he was still chasing. This choice, senseless and full of stupidity, led to her inevitable death. A little more vigilance, a quicker step, and Helen could have survived, but last-minute indecision sealed her fate in a tragic outcome that could have easily been avoided. Movie excerpt Saw 2. In the Saw series, Addison's death is one of the most unfortunate moments because it was completely avoidable. When faced with a glass box containing the antidote she desperately needed, Addison saw 2 holes in the side of the box. In her panic, she didn't realize that if she looked a little closer, she could see the key protruding from the other side of the box. With this key, Addison can completely open the lock and get the antidote without experiencing any harm. However, instead of stopping to think, she made a rash decision and put both hands into the holes. The sharp blades embedded inside immediately trapped her, leaving Addison no way to escape. With just a little calm and caution, she could have saved herself, but her lack of thinking in that moment sealed her fate in a death trap. Excerpt from the movie Jaws. In the classic movie Jaws, a dangerous decision is made when Mayor Vaughn refuses to close the local beach, despite receiving reports of a great white shark rampaging close to shore. Instead of prioritizing the safety of his people, he chose to protect summer tourism revenue, believing that if the beach was closed, the town's entire economy would collapse. Mayor Vaughn is adamant we cannot close the beach. That will not only affect this summer but also our lives. He even opposes hiring a professional shark hunter or reporting to the Coast Guard, all to keep the tourist flow. But that greedy decision quickly leads to horrific consequences when the shark attacks, and Vaughn must face a tragedy that could have been avoided. The choice to put profits over human lives has brought the town into a nightmare that no one could have predicted. Movie excerpt The Purge. In the movie The Purge, there are so many bad decisions that it's hard to pick which one was the worst. However, one of the most significant mistakes was when little Charlie decided to turn off the family's security system to let a stranger into the house on Purge night. A night where any stranger can invade, rob, assault, or kill you and your family without consequences. This man is not only a stranger, but is also being hunted by the Purgers. His pleading voice rang out in the night, "Someone please, open the door for me. They're coming. They'll kill me." But Charlie's emotional decision opened the door to hell, pulling the whole family into a spiral of violence, eventually leading to the tragic death of his father. Not only that, the family also made another serious mistake, leaving the safe room when their house was attacked. When a group of crazy killers are preparing to break in, and you have a fortified safe room and an arsenal of weapons at hand, the most reasonable choice is definitely to stay and defend. But in the world of horror movies, logic is often ignored. Instead of keeping a safe position and repelling the enemy, the family split up, making themselves easy prey for the enemy to destroy one by one. These stupid decisions not only cost them their lives, but also made the night of the Purge the worst nightmare of their lives. Movie excerpt Halloween Resurrection. In the movie Halloween Resurrection, when Laurie Strode finally caught Michael Myers, the audience thought the nightmare would end. Michael is suspended, and with just one move, Laurie can cut the rope, ending the brutality he has caused. But right at the moment of deciding, she hesitated. Instead of completing the mission, Laurie decides to expose Michael, wanting to confirm whether he is really her brother or not. What she didn't realize was that even though he was hanging upside down, Michael was still as dangerous as ever. In that moment of weakness, Laurie left him a chance, and this hesitation became a fatal mistake. Instead of ending the nightmare, she unintentionally prolongs it, allowing Michael to once again escape the scythe of death and continue spreading terror. Excerpt from the movie Scream. In Scream, Tatum's death is one of the saddest moments because she had a chance to survive. When Ghostface locked her in the garage, Tatum was no weakling. She bravely fought back, even taking down the killer several times. But instead of taking advantage of that, kicking him while he was down or finding something in the garage to use as a weapon, Tatum chose the worst path. She decided to crawl out the pet door, an exit that was clearly too small for her to squeeze through. This poor decision left her trapped, and Ghostface quickly took advantage of the situation, turning Tatum's escape attempt into a deadly trap. Instead of looking for a chance at life, she accidentally led herself to death, turning a courageous struggle into a tragic outcome that could have been avoided. Movie excerpt Saw 1. In Saw 1, Dr. Gordon is faced with a terrible and haunting decision. After being unable to reach the life-saving phone with his arm, he realizes that his survival depends on a gruesome choice. His foot is trapped, and to escape this deadly trap, he must decide to cut off his own foot or use a rusty saw that has been set up to do it. Although the cruelty of this decision leaves him struggling with pain and fear, time is passing, and his life is slowly running out. The trap was designed not only to test his physical limits, but also to challenge his psychology. Remember, in real life, insight and determination can be the key to overcoming challenges. Let's look forward to the next stories, where suspense and surprise are always present. Thank you for following.